The biggest change in my business started when I stopped looking for inventory. Let me explain. What's up, guys? My name is Chase.
I'm Skylar.
And we are full-time Amazon and eBay resellers. That's what we make videos about.
Yes.
So Sky Guy handles all of the videos, production, all of that stuff. Also helps out in selling.
Yes.
And has been with me for 18 months, 19 months, 20 months.
20 months.
20 months.
Yeah.
Alpel's over there working. He's been here for 9 months. And Matt is now full-time for a couple weeks, a month, something like that. So we have 4 people full-time selling, and we're gonna talk about sourcing and how there's 5 different levels to sourcing and how working your way up the levels can take your business to the next level.
I was just about to say. So Chase is going to walk you through essentially level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Each of them you've personally gone through as you've grown this business full-time over the last 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah, 6 or 7 years full-time, yep. I still participate in every one of the levels.
Yes.
So let's just dive right in. Can I get a like for the whiteboard?
Huh?
If you guys can see this, we're also going to have, we're also going to pop up each level so you guys can write it down, take notes.
Yeah, so follow along. Sky Guy has the most beautiful handwriting out of our crew, so he's going to be writing. But let's just dive right in. Level 1. Level 1 sourcing is garage sales and thrift stores. Now this is a level where capital or cash flow may be a factor. So you might be starting with $10, $100, whatever it is. This is a good level for limited cash flow. To me, it's also still the most fun level. The garage sales especially, I love it. I still do it because that's how the business started for me, and I enjoy it very much. Key things to note with this one, it's inconsistent. It's not exactly reliable if it's your only method of sourcing, but it does have high margins, and it's a great place to start. You know, a lot of people can do it.
Yeah, so one of the things that, or one of the most common questions we get is, hey, I'm just starting out. Yep. Where do I start? I can't go and buy a game store. I don't have game stores around me. If you're in the United States, garage sales are really popular. Thrift stores are very popular. Also look for flea markets.
Flea markets, yeah.
Flea markets is a big one, especially like big convention centers that have lots of flea markets, and that's also gonna stand the test of the seasons. So here, we can't garage sale. It's winter.
Not right now.
So that's one of the other tough things about just being in level 1 as far as where you're sourcing. You could be limited by the season, so it depends where you're at. A lot of people in the South or on the West Coast don't really have trouble with this, but it is something to know, and also why you should just continuously be looking for new places.
But also a quick note on level 1 sourcing. Thrift stores are usually popping in January and February.
Everybody's getting rid of stuff.
Yep, they had time off, they're getting rid of stuff, and then thrift stores, it takes them a little bit of time to get all that stuff out that they got donated at the beginning of January. So go to your thrift stores. It's usually the best time of the year right now.
Yep.
Level 2. So level 2, pawn shops and retail arbitrage. And I'll also throw in local auctions and storage units to this level. Still local. This is kind of when the cash flow, maybe you've done pretty well with level 1. You've mastered that. You've got garage sales and thrift stores down. You've got a business started, part-time, full-time, whatever it is, and your cash flow starts to increase. This is where you can kind of go in. Cash is king at pawn shops, right? So go in with some cash, make some bigger purchases. The margins may be a little bit lower, but the end goal is to have the profit dollars to be higher.
Not to mention building a relationship with your pawn shop people. Like, these 2 levels are going to be the best for building relationships.
Make connections.
So that's how you get through a winter season where you might not be able to source. Hey, now you have a pawn shop guy that's like, hey, I got a bunch of this stuff that's been sitting around for 6 months. This is what I have into it. I'll sell it to you for what I have into it just because I don't want it anymore.
100%. Yeah, so very important on level 1 and level 2, have business cards, make connections, pay more when possible with everybody that you come in contact with. This is if your goal is to have a long-term business.
Yeah, seriously. We just watched a video saying don't sacrifice 1 or 2 or 3% for a relationship. Like, the relationship is so much more important, and
your integrity.
Yeah, and your integrity, and
100%.
Not to mention, like, you have dozens of videos. Hundreds of videos on the main channel showing exactly that. One of our most popular videos is you going and buying a Nintendo for much more than she asked for.
Yeah.
And then she brought out a tub full of games, or it was an N64, and then she brought out an NES with a tub full of games.
Yep.
Just because you paid up, she's like, oh,
And that may not be for you. If that's not for you, that's okay. Honestly, it wasn't for me in the first like 3 years of being full-time. Like I always was trying to get the cheapest deal possible. I was going out, and there's nothing wrong with that. If they accept your deal, your offer, that's okay. The issue or the thing that changed my perspective, one, is really to be able to bless people when possible and to just pay more because you can. But two, like since I've started doing that in the last 2 years, my business has taken off.
Yeah.
And I think it's because people see that integrity and they want to sell more to you after you make the first deal. So it's just a good shift in mindset that I think will ultimately increase your business, even if that's not your main goal for doing it. So
before we get to level 3,
Yep.
Another question people ask is how much money do I need to get started? The answer is $1.
100%.
You can find an item at a garage sale for $1 and it could be worth $100.
Yep.
Like you just have to know what to look for, expand your reach. Now, as far as getting into level 2, I already see a couple of comments probably saying, how much money should I have before I should take a step into level 2?
Yeah.
Or is there an amount, or is it more so about location?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of subjective, but I would say you probably want at least $100. Like basically pawn shops, local shops, they like you if you've got cash on hand and you're willing to spend it and make some deals. Even if you have to go with $100 and make a $100 deal and then come back the next week with $200, just keep it flowing and work your way up from there. Level 3, this is where it starts to get interesting. Still local, but level 3 is pursuing collection buys and store buyouts in your area. This is a huge one, and this really doesn't happen unless in level 1 and 2, you're making those connections for a long period of time, right? So people that you've met along the way, maybe you find out they buy storage units. And they don't know what to do with their video games or their sports cards or whatever you're into. Make all of those connections, and once you kind of master level 1 and level 2, that's when level 3 starts happening. At least that's how it worked for me. So probably 3-4 years ago is when I really started getting heavy into level 3.
Yeah.
This was with collection buys. This was when our YouTube channel was pretty young and people were starting to see, and if they were in my area, they might reach out and say, hey, do you want to buy my $1,000 collection?
And you don't need social media to do that.
No.
Like a lot of it just comes from a relationship.
Yep.
That's
The
been
focus
built
on this one
anyways.
is that it's local connections. So flea market vendors, that's a big one. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars with multiple flea market vendors in my area. Brad, Alfredo.
Yes.
Just to name a few.
Yeah.
And they're friends now. They reach out to me still if they get new stuff.
And one of the biggest tips that I have for you guys, if you're looking to build connections, one of the easiest things to do, if you see a guy that's going to all the same pawn shops as you see him frequently, he's going to all the garage sales, he's on your route, find out what he's looking for. The best thing that you can do is scratch their back, they'll scratch yours. Be like, hey, what do you look for? Oh, I look for toy cars. Hey, so I'll look for toy cars. I look for video games. If you find any of that stuff, maybe I'll get them for a good price. I'll buy them from you. I'll see if I can get you any cars.
Yes.
And that's
huge.
That's essentially the biggest step on how you can meet people.
Make
and
friends with the competition.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
And say they're both looking for video games. Say you're looking for video games and somebody else is looking for video games. How would you handle that?
I mean, be civil. Always be civil. Try to make those connections. Find the areas where maybe your business caters to being able to sell those items better, and then hook them up where their business sells those items better. An example, Discord member Seth.
Yeah.
He's brilliant value proposition. He sells Rock Band and Guitar Hero stuff. We sold him all of ours. He does super well with it because he's mastered that area.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to mess with this stuff. So he might trade regular video games, in our case, one of the most rare controllers ever, for a bunch of this stuff because he can turn that into money much easier than the average reseller even.
Yeah.
So.
And another thing, like another example, a lot of people don't want to deal with systems and consoles. So buy consoles from people. If you can sell those for really high, if you are an Amazon seller, you already have leverage because you can sell things for more, therefore you can pay more. That's a big reason why people like doing repeat business with you. Flea market vendors and eBay sellers. Chase can pay them eBay prices and still be able to profit on Amazon. So if you do sell on Amazon, that's one of the benefits, and that's one of the benefits on getting into Amazon. That definitely helps.
We're gonna get to level 4, but that mindset is what you need to have. If you're on level 3 and want to get to level 4, if you want to master level 3, finding a way to separate your business, very important. This is kind of when we go beyond local and when things get very scalable. Level 4 is sourcing online to save time. So mainly eBay, Shop Goodwill, things like that, other online sources to where you can spend an hour a week, maybe an hour a day early on to get it mastered and just get stuff shipped right to you. You don't even have to leave. You don't have to go 3 hours away to the town that has a bunch of stores.
Yep.
That's when it gets interesting. Saving time and scaling is the focus. Margins decrease, but sales increase dramatically. So margins might significantly decrease, meaning you may have been doubling up before. Now you're maybe making 30 to 50%.
Yep.
But if you can do that at scale and just order over and over again.
If you can do twice the amount, but you're getting half, then yeah.
Yes, you got to make sure that your profit dollars are increasing with the same amount of time.
Yes.
That's the goal here with growing in the sources or in the levels of sourcing is how do we maximize the profit dollars per hour that we're working without really increasing the time, right? So I want to work 40 to 45 hours a week because my family and spending time with them and friends is a priority. Business is so that I can do that. So how do I maximize the same amount of time and the profit dollars still go up?
Yeah, and we have a couple recommendations on what you should do and how you should track your time. We're actually going to be doing a Discord call, kind of going even more into detail about this. I think next week, by the time you guys are seeing this. So definitely, if you're not in the Discord, consider it. We do calls every single week, and sometimes more than one a week. We have members that have been doing special calls. We're starting up the eBay listing challenge. So if you've been dragging your feet and want to get started with reselling, eBay is going to be your #1 place to start. We're going to teach you how to do it the best way. So definitely consider joining in on that because it's been a game changer for so many people.
It has for us.
Yeah.
And we've been to eBay and made sure that the things we're doing are right. So that's legit. Consider joining, and we're going to get to level 5 now. So level 5. This is when the business just skyrockets. That's when it did for me. That's pretty much this year. That happened this year. Level 5.
So it took 5 years to get there, mind you. This isn't going to be overnight.
And then part-time before that. So a lot of years. This takes time. But the key is that you need to be mastering every level along the way. And level 5 is collections from around the country and even the world come to your doorstep. Store buyout opportunities come to you as well. So collections and store buyouts, not just locally, but nationally or even worldwide. That's when it gets interesting, right? So all of the other levels have to be mastered. Maybe level 4 doesn't have to be mastered for level 5 to work, but levels 1 through 3. So 1, garage sales and thrift stores, making connections along the way. 2, I'll look back here. Pawn shops, RA, retail arbitrage, and local. 3, pursuing collections and store buys. Doing these and making connections, passing out business cards, and doing the deals with integrity along the way. If any of those pieces are missing, it's not going to work. You're not going to get to level 5. A lot of people don't get to level 5. I'm very thankful and blessed to have dabbled in level 5 this year. And I'm not taking that for granted. Still doing deals with integrity, still working on level 1, 2, 3, 4 with integrity, making connections, and never taking that for granted. The other thing is you could have a store. That could be your way to get to level 5, where people come to your store, local store, game store, they bring trade in. Yeah,
going back to our Discord call, we actually just yesterday had a talk about what it's like starting up brick and mortar. We have a couple store owners in our Discord, and they have some good insight. So there's a lot of things to consider.
It's more risky.
We won't fully
more potential
dive into
upside.
it,
I don't necessarily recommend that being the way. The other way is having an online presence where people can contact you to sell things. That can be in a lot of different ways.
Yep, there's people that, if you want me to make a video all about how to leverage social media for your business, let me know in the comments.
That's a whole other topic.
That's a whole topic we could dive into because it's essentially marketing yourself online. It's not really going to be through a website. I do think it's going to be through social media. So if
100%.
you have any current following, use that. Otherwise, you got to start fresh, and there's a lot of platforms to do so.
Yep, and you can do that on Whatnot. Get approved to sell on Whatnot, build a community there. Instagram, YouTube, lots of different ways. Start building that up if you eventually want to get to level 5. We started YouTube 6 years ago at the same time that I went full-time in reselling. It was casual and fun. Didn't really intend for it to grow, but had the thought that maybe it could.
Yeah.
And it has grown, and I'm very, very pleased. The other, like DK Oldies, they are on level 5, and they're killing it.
Yep.
Like them or hate them, they are great at getting inventory. Their buy list is usually very fair. I've sold them Wadebirds for $83.
Yeah,
which is like what they go for or more.
And because they have a different supply-demand chain than other platforms, so they're operating in their own sphere.
Yep.
that right.
But that's like an example of taking the local game store to the online national world. So
Yeah.
that's a big one. Margins. So this is where it gets interesting because the difference between level 4 and 5 is the margins. On
Yep.
level 5, your
Yeah.
margins are actually going to increase
Yep.
compared to level 4. Maybe not as high as level 1 or 2, but you're going to be able to get good inventory
And a
in
lot
bulk.
of it.
And that's where it takes time. It takes a business to be able to sell it. So a lot of people are willing to take a little bit less because they know it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
Still doing deals with integrity, but just the reality is you have to get them for a little bit better price because you're buying so much of it in cash.
So if this is like an extreme example, but say you're buying a collection for $50,000 and somebody wants to sell it to you for $45,000, between $40,000 and $45,000. That might not be the best because you're thinking all the time that it has to take to process all of that, not to mention fees, you're going to break even. So
Unless it was like 3 items in that collection.
yeah,
right?
unless
That's
it's
a different
only
story.
a few items, yeah.
You have to factor in the time that it will take to process the collection.
A good thing to do, Chase can explain a little bit more about this, but there's something called the Pareto principle. If you're dealing with a large collection, really at any of these points, mainly 3 to 5, if you're dealing with a large collection, a good way to judge if it's going to be beneficial for you and your business is by following the 80-20 rule. Which,
So in this context, the question would be, is 80% of the value in the top 20% of the items? And really, my piggybacking off of that is, can you make your money back or more with just 20% of the items of the collection?
Yep.
Or 20% of the time that it takes to process it?
Yep. If you can do that, and it's a no-brainer, just do it.
That makes sense.
Do it. Don't
If you
take
got
out
the
debt.
cash
Yeah,
to do
if you
it.
got the cash.
We're gonna recap the levels here, and I want you guys, as I'm going through, to comment the level that you think you're at in sourcing.
And where you want to be by the end of
where
the
you
year.
want to be. So 2023, where you want to be, which level? So level 1, garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets, locally. Level 2, local pawn shops, retail arbitrage, local auctions, maybe you have a little bit more cash flow. Level 3, pursuing collections and store buys locally. Level 4, sourcing online with eBay, Shop Goodwill, and other avenues where it comes to you. And then level 5, collections come to you without you even really putting much into it. So which level are you at? Comment down below. I'm curious. I kind of want to take a poll and see where our average viewer
I
is
can
at.
actually link a poll as well in the description, so check that out too.
Yep, and let us know, and then let us know where you really would like to be by the end of 2023, and maybe how you're going to work on getting there. That's going to be it for this one.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you got something, and subscribe for more. We got a lot more coming.
Like 3-4 videos a week, so
Yes, very excited about it. Let us know if you like the whiteboard. Bart'll do.
yeah, bye.